In this Big Tractor Power video, we're going to spend some time on a Western Kentucky dairy farm out in the cornfield watching a big 616 horsepower John Deere 8600 self-propelled forage harvester. In addition to seeing and hearing this machine at work, we'll climb up in the cab to get the operator's perspective of chopping corn with a big machine like this. But we're also going to spend some time on the farm. We're going to follow the tractors and wagons back to the farm to see them put the corn silage into storage. We'll see that corn fed out to the farm's dairy cows. And then when the 8600 is done chopping this field, we're going to see other big John Deere machines come into the field and spray herbicide, rip up the ground, and then plant a second crop of sorghum right behind the forage harvester. And then in a few months after the crop is grown up, we'll see that John Deere 8600 forage harvester come back to the field to chop that second crop of sorghum. So I hope that you'll enjoy watching this big machine at work and all the other machines that are involved on this dairy farm in raising feed for the cows. This John Deere self-propelled forage harvester is filling these 10-ton H&S wagons every 2 minutes. It's harvesting 8 rows of 30-inch corn and processing at a high speed the corn into silage. We're going to follow this John Deere 8245R tractor and H&S wagon back to the farm and watch it unload the corn silage and put it into storage for cattle feed. When the tractor and wagon arrive from the field, they'll pull into the feed yard and unload the corn silage into this Kelly Ryan bagger. The bagger wraps up the corn silage inside this big white bag. It looks like a trash bag and actually feels just like a trash bag as well. Inside the bag, the chopped up corn silage, which is the entire plant material of the corn stalk, the leaves, the corn cob, the grain of corn that was on the corn cob, is all processed into small bits by the forage harvester and then wrapped inside this bag to ferment. The juices and sugars come out of the plant and it becomes a palatable feed for the dairy cattle on this farm. The farm typically likes to keep the corn silage inside this bag for a 4 to 6 month period before feeding it to the dairy cows on the farm. After several months inside the bag, the corn has fermented and is ready to feed to the dairy cows on this farm. A John Deere 6175R tractor with a loader and silage grapple drive into the bag and scoop out the silage and carry it to a TMR mixer. TMR stands for Total Mixed Rations. The corn silage is deposited inside the mixer along with other supplements like soybean meal, alfalfa, and other nutritious feeds for the cows. Once they're mixed together, they're carried to the barn where the cows eat them, and this helps them produce the nutritious milk that we all enjoy drinking. Once the tractor and wagon have unloaded the corn silage back at the farm, they head straight back to the field to keep the John Deere 8600 self-propelled forage harvester moving. It's a constant process during the harvest of wagons going to and from the field to keep this forage harvester moving non-stop. Here we are up in the cab of the machine, and we can see the operator's perspective of what it's like to run this big harvester. You can see the John Deere 778 Kemper head out in front of the forage harvester. These big buzz saws just slice through the corn and help draw the crop into the machine, and it takes that 616 horsepower to process this 14-foot tall plant to chop up those hard kernels of corn and process them into those small chips that will eventually end up on the cow's dinner table back at the barn. The corn in this field has been completely harvested, and now the farmer has folded up the Kemper head and is heading down the road to the next field that needs to be harvested. But the work in the field is not done. We're going to watch some other big machines come in and plant a second crop of sorghum on this cornfield. The farm's John Deere R4038 sprayer comes into the field right after the forage harvester leaves to apply herbicide over the ground to kill off any grasses or weeds and to get the field ready to plant the new crop of sorghum. Raising two crops on one field in 1 year is known as double cropping, and in western Kentucky, where this big John Deere 8600 forage harvester and other big John Deere machines are working, the southern climate allows the farm to raise corn on the field through the first part of the year and then plant a second crop of sorghum, doubling the feed acres the farm is able to raise. Here we can see a 420 horsepower John Deere 9420R four-wheel drive tractor equipped with triple tires, 12 wheels all the way around to increase traction and reduce compaction in the field. The tractor is pulling a John Deere 915 V ripper. This ripper is digging down in the ground 18 inches to break up all the compaction from the big forage harvester, the heavy wagons and tractors that were going back and forth as they collected the corn silage. This ripper is breaking up that compaction to allow the new roots of the sorghum crop to grow into the ground and collect moisture in the later part of the summer and not have to try to work through that hard compacted soil. The nice thing about the V-ripper is while it's digging down deep, it's not disturbing the surface of the field, which helps fight erosion and keep the stubble of the corn plants in place to hold the soil better for the new crop. After the herbicide has been applied to fight weeds and the V-ripper has worked its way through the field to break up compaction, new seeds are planted in the field. A John Deere 8295R tractor with a John Deere 1795 planter put the sorghum into the ground on 15-inch rows on an angle between the 30-inch rows of corn that have previously been harvested. The sorghum plants grow up over the corn stubble through the months of August and September and into October. The corn was harvested in late July, and this gives a lot of growing time for this second crop that covers the entire field. This plant is harvested and used for feed for the calves on the farm. We can look at the plant. It's very leafy. It looks a lot like a corn plant. A killer frost will come in November and dry the plant down, and it's much like sugarcane. It's very hard to harvest, and that frost will help dry the plant out for the big forage harvester. I hope that you've enjoyed seeing and hearing and learning about this big 616 horsepower John Deere 8600 forage harvester on this western Kentucky farm and all the other machinery that it works with to bring two crops in 1 year out of one field on this dairy farm. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, I hope that you'll consider subscribing to Big Tractor Power YouTube, where there are over 1,000 videos of farm machines in action. If you have any questions or thoughts about this video, please leave them in the comment section below as I try to respond to every post that is made. If you'd like to get need a preview of what is currently being filmed for Big Tractor Power YouTube, make sure to check out Big Tractor Power Instagram, where I share pictures and short video clips of what is currently being filmed in the field. As always, thank you for watching.